The night was cold, dark, and full of rain. The highway outside New York City was almost empty, except for the sound of thunder and the flash of car lights cutting through the storm. Ethan Cole, a 26-year-old mechanic, was driving home from a long day at work. His old pickup truck rattled with every bump, and soft country music played on the radio. He was tired, thinking only about getting home and sleeping. But then, something caught his eye. A car stood broken on the side of the road, its headlights blinking weakly. As Ethan slowed down, he saw smoke rising and then he saw someone on the ground. A girl. Without thinking, he pulled over. Rain soaked through his jacket as he ran toward her. She looked young, maybe 20, with long brown hair sticking to her face, her hands trembling. Her car had crashed into a tree, and a trail of gasoline was dripping toward the road. Ethan's heart raced. "Hey! Can you hear me?" he shouted over the thunder. The girl's lips moved weakly. "Please, help me." "Don't move," Ethan said quickly, checking the car. The smell of gas was strong, too strong. He knew what was coming. He lifted her gently into his arms, feeling how light she was, and started running away from the car. Just as he reached the edge of the road, a loud explosion tore through the night. The fire lit up the dark sky, and the shockwave threw them both to the ground. Ethan shielded her with his body. Flames rose behind them, turning the rain into steam. When the fire settled a little, Ethan checked the girl again. Her face was pale but alive. She looked up at him with frightened eyes. "Who are you?" she whispered. "Ethan," he said softly, brushing the dirt off her cheek. "Ethan Cole." Her eyes tried to focus. "Why did you stop? You could have died." He gave a small, tired smile. "Guess I couldn't just drive by." He took off his jacket and wrapped it around her. She was shivering, her clothes torn, her hands scraped and bleeding. Ethan carried her to his truck and drove straight to the nearest hospital. The rain kept falling, heavy and endless, as if the world wanted to wash away what had just happened. At the hospital, nurses rushed to take the girl inside. Ethan waited in the hallway, watching as doctors treated her wounds. He didn't say much. He just sat quietly, soaked, his eyes distant. When the nurse asked for his information, he hesitated. "Just tell her I'm glad she's safe," he said finally. "What's your full name, sir?" the nurse asked. Ethan thought for a moment, then looked down. "Just Ethan." The nurse frowned. "You saved her life, you should at least." But when she looked up again, he was gone. Hours later, the girl Lily Carter woke up in a hospital bed. Her head ached, and her arm was bandaged. For a few seconds, she didn't remember what happened. Then she saw a jacket folded neatly on the chair beside her bed. It was too big for her, rough on the outside, with a small name tag sewn inside, E. Cole. She asked the nurse about the man who brought her in, but no one had seen him leave. There was no record of him at the reception, no ID, no security footage. It was as if he had never been there at all. Lily sat in silence, holding the jacket tightly. She remembered his voice, calm and gentle, and the way he looked at her not with pity, but with something else. Something warm. "Ethan," she whispered. The name felt strange but safe. Later that evening, Lily's parents came rushing in, crying and hugging her. They asked what happened, and she told them about the man who saved her. But when her father went to the police station to file a report, the officer said, "We checked the area. No one saw a man. Only your daughter's car and the fire. If someone helped her, they disappeared before we arrived." Lily didn't believe it. Someone had saved her. She could still smell his jacket, still hear his voice in the rain. When she closed her eyes that night, she saw his face lit by the fire, and how he'd said softly, "You're safe now." Days passed. Lily went home, but she couldn't stop thinking about Ethan. She searched online for Ethan Cole, mechanic, New York. No results. She tried hospitals, police reports, even social media, but it was like he didn't exist. Then one night, while she was sitting by her window, it began to rain again. The sound of the storm brought everything back: the crash, the fire, his arms around her. She put on his jacket and whispered, "Who are you, Ethan?" As lightning flashed outside, she saw something strange. On the back of the jacket, near the inner pocket, was a small cut in the fabric. Inside, Hidden under the lining, was a folded piece of paper. Her hands shook as she opened it. There were only 3 words written in dark ink. Don't look back. Lily froze. Her heart started beating fast. What did it mean? Why would he hide that message? And where had he gone? She ran to her window and stared into the storm, as if expecting to see him standing there, just like that night. But there was only rain, and the sound of thunder fading into the distance. That night, she couldn't sleep. For the first time, fear mixed with something else, curiosity, maybe even fate. Whoever Ethan Cole was, he had saved her for a reason. And Lily Carter decided one thing before she closed her eyes. She would find him. No matter where he had disappeared. A week had passed since the night that changed Lily Carter's life. The bruises on her body were healing, but the questions in her heart were not. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan Cole, the stranger who saved her, wrapped her in his jacket, and then vanished into thin air. The message she found hidden inside his jacket, "Don't look back," kept replaying in her mind. It felt like a warning, but also like a clue. She didn't understand it, and that made her even more determined to find him. One morning, Lily went to the mechanic shop near the highway, hoping someone might have heard of an Ethan who worked around there. The owner, a large man with oil stains on his shirt, shook his head. Ethan Cole? Never heard that name before. You sure you got it right? Yes, Lily said. He's about 26, tall, dark hair, kind eyes. He saved my life last week when my car crashed on Route 47. The man frowned. Route 47? That's where that big fire happened, right? Girl, that place was empty when the police came. If somebody helped you, he disappeared before they arrived. Lily sighed. She was tired of hearing the same thing from everyone. No one had seen him, no one knew him, and no one believed her. But she knew Ethan was real. His jacket still smelled like smoke and rain, proof that he had been there. Later that day, she went to the police station again. Officer Ryan Miller, a calm man in his 30s, met her with a polite smile. Miss Carter, he said, opening her file. I told you before, there's no record of anyone named Ethan Cole. No driver's license, no social security number, nothing. But he saved me, Lily said, her voice trembling. How can someone just not exist? Ryan looked at her carefully. Sometimes, people don't want to exist. Maybe he was running from something. Maybe he didn't want to be found. Lily shook her head. He wasn't a criminal. He was good. He risked his life for me. The officer leaned forward. And maybe that's exactly why he disappeared. Because helping you might have put him in danger. His words made Lily pause. What do you mean? Ryan sighed. We've had a few strange cases like this before. People with no records, fake names, clean disappearances. Sometimes, they're part of underground groups, organizations that help others vanish. Witness protection, secret rescue networks, nobody really knows. Lily felt her heart skip a beat. You think he was part of something like that? Ryan nodded slowly. If he was, finding him won't be easy. And the note, "Don't look back," maybe that wasn't for you. Maybe it was for himself. That night, Lily sat in her room with Ethan's jacket spread across her bed. She ran her fingers over the small name tag, E. Cole, and whispered, "What are you hiding from?" She searched through every pocket again, hoping to find another clue. This time, she noticed something faint on the inside pocket, a small print, like a stamp. It said, Cole's Auto Repair, Austin, Texas. Her eyes widened. Texas. Maybe that was where Ethan came from. Maybe she could find him there. The next morning, Lily packed a small bag, took some money, and bought a bus ticket. Her parents didn't understand why she had to go. Lily, he's gone, her mother said gently. You should let him go. I can't, Lily said. He saved me for a reason. I need to know why. The journey was long and quiet. Outside the bus window, the city lights turned into empty highways and endless fields. Every sound reminded her of that night, the thunder, the explosion, his calm voice saying, "You're safe now." After 2 days, she arrived in Austin, Texas. The air was hot, dry, and heavy with dust. She found the address printed on the old repair shop stamp. The sign outside was half broken, Cole's Auto Repair, closed for good. Lily's heart sank. The building looked abandoned, its windows covered in dust. But when she peeked through a crack in the door, she saw something that made her heart race: a faded photograph pinned to the wall. A young boy, maybe 10 years old, stood smiling beside a car, holding a small wrench. Written under the photo were the words, "Ethan Cole, 2008. She pushed the door open and stepped inside. Dust swirled in the sunlight. Tools lay scattered on the floor, and old papers were stacked on a broken desk. Lily picked up one of the papers. It was a bill for a car repair, dated 5 years ago. But something strange caught her eye: the name of the customer. It was Ryan Miller. Her hands froze. The same detective Ryan Miller she had spoken to in New York. What was his name doing here, hundreds of miles away? Before she could think further, she heard footsteps outside. A man's voice said quietly, "Someone's inside." Panic shot through her chest. She ducked behind the counter, holding her breath. 2 men entered, both wearing dark suits and earpieces. "Check the back," one said. "If she found the shop, she's getting too close." Lily's heart pounded. "They're looking for me," she realized. Just like they looked for him. She waited until they walked toward the back room, then slipped out the front door as quietly as she could. She ran down the street, rain starting to fall again as thunder rolled in the distance. The storm reminded her of that night, of Ethan's voice telling her to stay safe. She stopped under an old bus stop shelter, gasping for breath. She opened her phone and quickly typed a message to Detective Ryan. "Why is your name on Ethan Cole's repair file in Texas?" For a long moment, there was no reply. Then her phone vibrated with one message. "Lily, leave Texas now. You don't know who he really was." Her blood went cold. If Ryan knew Ethan before, what else was he hiding? She stared at her reflection in the rain-streaked glass of the bus stop. For the first time, she wasn't sure what was real anymore. But one thing she did know: Ethan Cole had saved her life once. And if he was in danger, she would return the favor. Because sometimes, the person who disappears isn't running away from the world. They're running to protect someone they love. The rain followed Lily Carter to every city she went. It was as if the sky remembered that night just as she did. The thunder reminded her of the explosion, the lightning of Ethan Cole's face. The man who saved her, vanished, and left behind nothing but questions. After what happened in Texas, after those 2 men chased her out of the old repair shop, she knew the truth was deeper than she thought. Ethan wasn't just a stranger who helped her. He was someone hiding from something dark. And now, she was caught in it too. Lily sat in a small motel room on the edge of Austin. Her phone buzzed again with another message from Detective Ryan Miller. "I told you to leave. You're putting yourself in danger." She stared at the screen, her fingers trembling as she typed back. "Then tell me the truth. Who was Ethan Cole?" But this time, Ryan didn't reply. Not that night. Not even the next morning. Lily couldn't sit still. She decided to go back to the repair shop when the sun came up. She waited until the streets were empty and quietly slipped inside again. Dust filled the air, but now she was ready to look deeper. She moved a metal shelf aside, and behind it, she noticed something strange: a crack in the wall shaped like a small rectangle. She pressed on it, and a piece of the wall shifted. Behind it was a hidden door. Her heart raced as she opened it slowly. Inside was a small room, dark, cold, and quiet. Papers were scattered everywhere. Old photographs, maps, and files with strange symbols on them. On one of the tables lay a black folder with Ethan's name written in faded ink: "Ethan Cole, Operation Guardian." She opened it carefully. The first page had Ethan's photo: same eyes, same face, but the file said something impossible. Under occupation, it read, "Field Agent, Rescue Division." Another line said, "Status, erased." Erased. Lily whispered. She kept reading. The file explained that Ethan was part of a secret network, a group that helped people disappear from dangerous situations. They rescued those who were hunted, gave them new lives, and made sure no one could ever find them again. That's why he had no records. That's why no one knew his name. He wasn't supposed to exist. But as she flipped the pages, something froze her blood. One folder, labeled in red, said, "Priority Target, Lily Carter." She opened it with shaking hands. Inside were photos of her, some from her college, some from her home, even one from the night of the crash. The report said she had been marked by a man named Victor Haynes, a powerful businessman under investigation for human trafficking. Ethan had apparently gone against his orders to save her that night. The last report in the file said, Ethan Cole compromised the mission to protect civilian Lily Carter. He is now a liability. Lily dropped the file. The room suddenly felt colder. She realized Ethan didn't disappear to hide from her, he disappeared to keep her safe. By saving her, he broke the rules of his secret organization. And now, they wanted him gone. Tears filled her eyes. You saved me, she whispered. And they punished you for it? Suddenly, a noise came from outside, a car door closing. She peeked through the window. The same two men from before were back. One of them spoke into a radio. She's here. We tracked her phone signal. Panic shot through her body. She grabbed the files and ran through the back door, out into the empty alley. Rain started falling again, soaking her hair, blurring her vision. She didn't stop running until she reached the old bridge on the outskirts of town. There, she hid under the structure, catching her breath. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. Then, out of the rain, a shadow appeared. A tall figure stepped forward, moving slowly toward her. Lily, a deep voice said. She froze. That voice, she knew it. When he came closer, she saw his face. His dark hair was wet, his eyes tired but alive. It was him. Ethan Cole. Ethan, she breathed. You're alive. He looked at her, his face full of both relief and worry. You shouldn't have come here, he said quietly. They're watching you now. Lily took a step closer, tears mixing with the rain. Why did you disappear? I thought you were dead. I had to disappear, he said softly. The people I worked for, they don't forgive mistakes. I broke the rules when I saved you. You weren't supposed to survive that night. Her lips trembled. What do you mean? Why me? He hesitated. Victor Haynes wanted you silenced. You saw something you shouldn't have. The car crash wasn't an accident, Lily. They planned it. I was sent to watch you, but when I saw what they were going to do, I stopped them. I burned everything. I made you disappear instead. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. You risked your life for me. He nodded. And now they want us both gone. The sound of engines echoed in the distance. Black SUVs appeared on the road. Ethan's eyes widened. They found us, he said. He pulled out a small key and pressed it into her hand. Take this. It's for a locker at the Austin train station. Inside is everything you'll need to disappear: money, a new ID, and a file that proves what Victor Haynes did. You have to get it to Detective Ryan Miller. He's one of the few good ones left. What about you? She asked desperately. He smiled sadly. I'll buy you time. Before she could stop him, Ethan ran into the rain, drawing the attention of the black SUVs. Men jumped out, shouting, and chased him into the dark streets. Lily wanted to scream, but her voice wouldn't come out. She clutched the key tightly and hid behind the bridge's stone wall as gunshots echoed through the storm. When the noise faded, she looked out, but Ethan was gone again. Only silence remained, broken by the sound of raindrops hitting the river below. Lily fell to her knees, crying softly. She didn't know if he was alive, but she knew one thing: she couldn't give up now. Ethan had risked everything to save her, and now it was her turn to save him. As lightning flashed across the sky, Lily whispered, I'll find you, Ethan. Even if the whole world tries to stop me. And somewhere in the darkness, far away from her eyes, a shadow limped through the rain, bleeding, but alive. Ethan Cole was still out there. The night felt endless. The sound of the storm still echoed in Lily Carter's ears as she ran through the dark streets of Austin. Her shoes splashed through puddles, her jacket was soaked, and her heartbeat was louder than the rain. She held the small metal key Ethan had given her so tightly it almost cut into her palm. The words he said under the bridge kept repeating in her head: I'll buy you time. That was the last thing she heard before the black SUVs came. Ethan had disappeared again. And this time, the sound of gunfire made her fear it was forever. She found a small 24-hour diner near the train station and hid in a corner booth. Her hands were still shaking as she pulled out her phone. She typed a quick message to Detective Ryan Miller. I have something. He's alive. They're after him. For a long time, there was no reply. The rain hit the windows, and she felt completely alone. Then, finally, her phone buzzed. Ryan's message was short. Meet me at the train station at 3 a.m. Don't trust anyone else. Lily glanced at the wall clock, 2:20 a.m. She had 40 minutes. She tucked the key into her shoe, grabbed a black hoodie from her bag, and slipped out of the diner. The train station was only a few blocks away, but every sound made her heart jump. Every pair of headlights made her think it was one of those SUVs. When she reached the station, it was almost empty. The lights flickered weakly, and the sound of dripping water echoed through the hall. She found the lockers at the far end and searched for number 312, the one etched into the key. Her hands trembled as she turned the lock. Inside was a small metal box. She opened it and found three things: a stack of cash, a fake ID with her face but a different name, and a black envelope with her real name written in Ethan's handwriting. Her chest tightened. Slowly, she opened the envelope. There was a letter inside. Ethan's words were written in neat, strong strokes, but they carried weight. Lily, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't stay. I gave up my name, my past, everything, to save you. The file in this locker proves what Victor Haynes did. It's enough to destroy him and the people protecting him. But once you take the step, there's no going back. They'll come for you. Don't trust anyone, not even the ones who say they're on your side. Keep moving. Stay alive. And if one day the rain feels familiar, it's because I never stopped watching over you. Her eyes blurred with tears. His words weren't just a message. They were a promise. At exactly 3 a.m., she heard footsteps behind her. Lily turned quickly. Detective Ryan Miller stood at the end of the hallway, his hands raised to show he wasn't a threat. Lily, he said softly. You shouldn't be here alone. She hesitated. Ethan's letter echoed in her mind. Don't trust anyone. How do I know you're really on my side? She asked. Ryan stepped closer, his voice steady. Because I tried to protect Ethan once too. Years ago, he saved someone I cared about. That's why I know what he's up against. But if you have what I think you have, then Victor won't be able to hide much longer. Lily slowly handed him the envelope with the files. But as Ryan opened it, they both heard something, the sound of heavy boots approaching. Ryan cursed under his breath. They found us. Lily's eyes widened as three men in black suits entered the station. One of them pointed at her. There she is. The girl. Ryan pulled out his gun and shouted, Run, Lily. She clutched the letter and ran through the station, dodging benches and broken lights. The sound of gunshots exploded behind her, shattering the silence. Glass rained down from the ceiling as she sprinted toward the back exit. Her breath came fast and sharp. Rain hit her face the moment she burst outside. The night was cold, just like that first night she met Ethan. She ran down the street, but then a car swerved around the corner and blocked her path. She stumbled back as two men stepped out. But before they could reach her, a figure appeared behind them. He moved fast, quiet like a shadow. One of the men fell with a sharp cry, the other turned but too late. The figure knocked him down and turned to her. Lily. Her heart almost stopped. She knew that voice. She knew those eyes. It was Ethan. He was alive. Ethan, she whispered, breathless. He reached out, grabbed her hand, and pulled her behind a wall as more cars arrived. His face was pale, blood on his shirt, but his grip was strong. I told you not to trust anyone, he said. They'll do anything to get that file. I gave it to Ryan, she said quickly. His jaw clenched. Then we have to hope he's still the man I once knew. The rain poured harder, soaking them both. The city lights blurred in the distance. Ethan pressed something small into her hand, a tracker chip. If we get separated again, follow the signal. I'll lead them away. You need to disappear. She shook her head. I'm not leaving you again. His eyes softened. Lily. I disappeared to keep you alive. If I stay now, they'll take you. And I can't let that happen. She grabbed his arm tightly. Then come with me. We can run together. For a second, his guard dropped. He looked at her not as someone he needed to protect, but as someone he didn't want to lose. If only it were that easy, he whispered. The roar of engines grew louder. He gave her one last look, the kind that burned into memory, then turned toward the street. Run, Lily. She didn't want to, but she forced her legs to move. She ran through the rain as Ethan faced the men in black. She heard shouting, gunfire, and then nothing. When she reached the next street, she turned back. Ethan was gone again. Lily stood there in the rain, holding the tracker in her hand, her heart breaking and burning at the same time. She whispered into the storm, "I won't let them take you. Not again." For the first time, she didn't feel like a helpless girl anymore. She felt like someone who could fight. Ethan saved her once. Now it was her turn. The sun was setting when Emily stood by the small white cross near the old bridge. The sky was painted in gold and red, and the wind carried the soft sound of the river below. It had been 1 year since Jake disappeared. She came here every week, hoping maybe just maybe he'd show up again, smiling like he used to, saying something funny to break the silence. But every time, it was only the quiet river that answered her. Emily's life had changed completely. She left her job, moved to a small town near the coast, and started painting again. But every painting, no matter what she tried, somehow ended up being about him. His face, his eyes, his kindness, it was all there on the canvas. People said she should move on. But how could she move on when the man who saved her life had vanished without a trace? One cold evening, while she was cleaning her small art studio, Emily found an old cardboard box she didn't recognize. It was tucked under the wooden shelf, dusty and sealed with tape. Her heart started to race when she saw her name written on top in familiar handwriting, Jake's handwriting. She froze. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a small black phone, switched off, and a folded letter. The letter started simply. "If you're reading this, it means I couldn't come back." Emily felt her knees weaken. She sat down on the floor, eyes filling with tears, as she continued reading. Jake explained that he had been part of a secret operation before he met her. He was not supposed to be in that town. The night he saved her from the accident wasn't random. He had been following someone dangerous. That explosion wasn't meant for her. It was meant for him. He had disappeared to protect her from the same people who wanted him dead. "I didn't mean to make you worry," the letter said. "But if I stayed, you would have been in danger too. You made me feel something. I thought I had lost hope. You made me remember what love felt like." Emily pressed the letter to her heart and cried. It felt like he was there, speaking to her one last time. When she picked up the phone, her hands shook as she turned it on. The screen lit up, and one video message appeared dated the day he vanished. She tapped play. Jake appeared on the screen, sitting somewhere dark, his face lit by a dim light. His voice was calm but soft. "Hey, Emily," he said with a small smile. "If you're watching this, it means I couldn't make it back. I want you to know, saving you was the best thing I ever did. I never believed in destiny, but that night when I saw you I felt it. I wish I had more time to tell you how much you changed me. Don't wait for me forever, okay? Live. Paint. Smile. And if you ever look at the stars, know that somewhere I'll be looking too." The screen faded to black, and Emily couldn't stop crying. His voice echoed in her head again and again. That was Jake, always strong, always protecting others. She sat there for hours, replaying the message until the battery died. Days later, she decided to hold a small art exhibition in memory of Jake. She titled it "The Stranger Who Saved Me." People came from far away to see her work, paintings of rivers, bridges, sunsets, and always, a shadow of a man walking away in the distance. At the center of the gallery hung her favorite piece, a painting of Jake standing under the streetlight, rain falling around him, the night he saved her. As she was closing the exhibition late at night, she noticed a small envelope left near the painting. No one had seen who put it there. Inside was a single note. "You kept your promise. I kept mine. Look at the stars tonight." Emily ran outside into the quiet street. The night sky was full of stars, brighter than she had ever seen. And then, far on the hill near the trees, she saw a shadow standing under the moonlight, tall, still, familiar. Her breath caught. She took a step forward, heart pounding, but when she blinked, the figure was gone. A tear rolled down her cheek, but this time, she smiled. "Goodbye, Jake," she whispered softly. "Wherever you are, thank you." The wind carried her words into the night, across the bridge where it all began. And for a brief second, just as the stars shimmered above, Emily could swear she heard a voice whisper back, gentle and distant. "I never really left." The story of Jake and Emily ended not with sadness, but with peace, because sometimes, love doesn't need forever. Sometimes, it only needs one unforgettable moment to last a lifetime.